Alright, so it's time for another trip. Heading back to Land Between the Lakes. And hopefully we don't have the same problem we did in the last trip. But it's the middle of the week and it's not a holiday weekend, so we should be good there. First things first, we're going to have to set a little destination real quick. Let's see if we can do that. Take care of a couple priorities here real quick. Tudor's Biscuit World, Grayson, Kentucky.
All right, I'm setting your destination to Tudor's Biscuit World in Grayson.
With our bellies full of biscuits, we headed west. From Grayson to Lake City is roughly 5 hours with stops included. We had a small game plan and a hopeful outlook. Our arrival time left us with the option to explore before having to nail down a camp spot. We had 4 rigs, 2 Gladiators, 1 4Runner, and a Jeep Renegade. We had several spots on Gaia to check on, and a few that still needed investigating. Sometimes not having a plan leads to the biggest adventures. Finding your own path can lead to the best views, because they are the ones you found, the ones that you made happen. Overlanding is about getting away and seeing what you can find out there. Not knowing where you may end up, for good or for bad, is the biggest expression of freedom I can think of. Where you go and what you find is all up to you. There's lots of history at Land Between the Lakes, not all of it good. In fact, there are many tales of suffering from this place. I could probably make an entire video on its origins, but for now, here's what I know. Originally, this was the land between the rivers, the Tennessee River and the Cumberland River. After the American Civil War, much of the country was divided and the iron industry took a large hit. Slaves were free now and started their own small towns in the area that was still racially divided. The Tennessee River was impounded by Kentucky Dam to create Kentucky Lake in 1944. This made the nation's largest man-made lake. As a result, towns like Birmingham and Kentucky were flooded. This forced the local farmers to move. Cemeteries were also relocated, and many of the access roads to them are still maintained. In 1959, a study was formed to impound the Cumberland River to create a huge national recreation center that would be located between the lakes. In 1964, President Kennedy approved the project, which awarded $4 million. This project meant that 2,000 families must be removed. This, of course, created unrest and a protest erupted. All were quelled. In 1964, the field office named Golden Pond opened its doors. Prior to governments and projects, Paleo Indians lived in the area. Many arrowheads have been found as well as archaic tools. They seem to have flourished due to the nature of the area. Wild game were plentiful and hunting it was ideal means of survival. Lastly, more modern folklore has taken root in the form of a cryptoid type creature that is said to walk the land, taking the form of a dog-man hybrid. It is said to be 8 feet tall and ruthlessly stalks its prey. Rumors swirl about it. Is it a physical manifestation of an ancient Indian curse? Maybe the last of an undiscovered species time has forgotten. Maybe it is all just rumors and folklore. We remain skeptical, but if anyone would know where the best camp spots would be, it would have to be Dogman. One of our first stops involved a small walk along a forest trail to a place named Hotel California, which was really just a dilapidated concrete building. I couldn't tell much had ever gone on here, and it seemed mostly used for graffiti practice. It somehow didn't feel out of place though. In its current state, it served to reinforce the theme that this place constantly repeats, one that says there used to be activity here, but not anymore. The weather was perfect for this trip, but a lack of rain made it impossible to record travel, as the dusty trail was constantly being kicked up by our vehicles. Much of the day was spent exploring back roads. Mud holes that had made things previously impassable were now dry as a bone. As evening rolled in, we headed for one key spot we knew would hold all of our rigs. Hopefully it was unclaimed, but there was only one way to find out. We had to get there. Well, we arrived and made our descent down a kind of a rough trail with fingers crossed that the site lay unclaimed. Chris went ahead and we waited to hear back on the radio for the all clear, which finally came through. We headed down to check it out. It's probably one of the best spots I've had on any trip. right on the water with trees blocking the hot sun, minimal bugs, and a forest backdrop. We all got set up and had some dinner just in time for a rewarding sunset. This is day 2, but day 1 went pretty good. We found a good spot, and it seems still kind of crowded, but not that bad if you saw the other video. But check this place out, man. I've never seen so many fish in all of my life. Like, what do they got in the water here? I don't know. I walked away from camp. It's about 6:30. Is that an eagle? That is got to be an eagle. I walked away from camp, and this spot is super loud to walk on. Just listen. It's like crazy gravel shells. So nobody wants to listen to that. Everybody's trying to sleep. But I'm an early bird, so. Anyways, I'm going to get you some shots of this while everybody gets woken up. Of course, I brought the drone over here to go fly it, and left the batteries back there. So, now, like I said, I'm an early bird. It's a bit of a curse because there's no louder sound than trying to unzip your tent at 6:30 in the morning. I took advantage of the peaceful surroundings and did end up getting the drone out. I've got a ton of footage, and I'll make a separate video dedicated to just the drone stuff later. For now, here are a few good shots. While the batteries charged, we decided to fill the gas tanks and hit the trail again, to see if we could find something other than trail dust. Ideally, a different camp spot for the second night was our plan, but we didn't find much better and ended up back at the same spot. Within the hour, other campers came to scope it out as well. There just wasn't much that would allow for 4 rigs with a water supply, and that shady tree cover was just too nice. There are more trails to the south that are a higher level that we will eventually go map out. There are leftover furnaces from the iron industry here as well. Our second night would be our last as we plan to hit the road for home. We all simply took time to relax and soak in what nature was giving us. Dogman had eluded us, and we never heard any howls from the depths of the forest. Maybe he was on vacation also. I really thank you for watching, and if you haven't already, subscribe for more trips, gear reviews, and overlanding content.
So in order to film that sunset, we had to go further down the water's edge to a clearing. It was a large open area without the trees over top, but still had the forest backdrop. I was going to attempt some astrophotography shots, but it didn't work out. Maybe it was just the smoke from Canada. I don't know. Anyhow, my friend went back to camp for something and was walking back towards us. I thought it would be a great time to hide in the shadows and jump out and scare him. We crouched down, but it was too late and he spotted us. But then I heard something. It was coming right towards us. It was making a huge racket. I could see the grass line swaying as it got closer and closer. But this time everyone was watching, trying to figure out what it was. Our flashlights narrowed to the grass line, and we were just waiting to see if it would pop out. Whatever it was coming right for us, and it had no fear of our voices or movement. Chris figured a flank might give us the tactical advantage and headed to my right side. The creature didn't seem to care in the least and never attempted to conceal itself. We were not a threat to it. It finally got close enough that we could tell what it was. An armadillo. Hey Willow, have you ever heard of the dog man that lives at Land Between the Lakes?
There's something.
Hey Ava, have you ever heard of the dog man that lives at Land Between the Lakes?
Does he sound like this?
Jax, have you ever heard of the Land Between the Lakes, the dog man that's there? You ever heard of him?